So the first episode of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 just came out, so let's talk about it. We've been waiting for a Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen for over 2 years right after the first season. We got the Volume 0 movie back in 2021, but we always wanted to see the continuation of Season 1, especially since we were getting really close to seeing the greatest arc in Jujutsu Kaisen animated, the Shibuya Incident arc. So this season has become the most anticipated series of all of 2023, and the first episode was just released yesterday. So if you haven't seen the episode, I highly suggest that you watch that first, because we are going to be talking a lot of spoilers. If you don't want to get spoiled, you can always skip to this timestamp here. Alright, so the first episode covered the first 2 chapters of the Hidden Inventory arc, or what I like to call the Gojo backstory arc. It starts off with Geto killing a cool looking cursed spirit and the infamous stare off scene in the manga. Then it shows Mei and Yurahime exploring an old mansion that is said to be haunted by a cursed spirit. Now, before I watched this episode, I read a few chapters of the arc just so I could get like a little refresher of what happens, and I'm pretty surprised at how much time they gave this mansion scene. In the manga, it is only 6 pages long, and it immediately starts in the loop with no background or build up to it. But for the first episode, they gave it almost half of the episode's runtime and added in extra anime only content, which is a really nice touch. It gives us some insight on some of the side characters like Mei, Yurahime, and even Shoko, all characters who only made brief appearances in season 1. Like for example, the scene where Yurahime learns to get out of the loop and then test out her theory is all anime only. This is also where we start seeing MAPPA start experimenting with their animation here. We see scenes where Yurahime is looking around the mansion and each of the rooms in the house in these 3D cinematic scenes. There's also the scene where Yurahime gets scared of a couple of rats under a bed, and you get to see this nice 3D/2D mix of animation of her leaving the room. But my favorite scene has to be that really eerie old school anime footage of the family that used to live in a mansion. I don't know why, but it looks really nice just to see that old type of animation in this series. Then we get to see a young Gojo and Geto. It's cool to see how close they were back then. Most of the scenes of them together are just them goofing around and playfully bashing each other. We even have like this really cool scene of a basketball court where they're talking about their different philosophies and purpose of being jutsu sorcerers. It's interesting to see how the cracks start forming in their friendship, knowing that in the future they are gonna be like sworn enemies. But they get this mission to retrieve a star plasma vessel from Master Tenjin. For every 500 years, Master Tenjin needs to merge with a new body so that he doesn't become an enemy to humanity. So Gojo and Geto set out to her location, and it starts a fight scene between a group wanting to kill the vessel, and the final scene introduces Toji Fushiguro, who's gonna be the main villain for the rest of this arc. But even though we don't see much of the actual vessel, Riko, or of Toji in this episode, it was still a really great introduction to everything that was going on. The famous TikTok clip of Geto and Gojo just walking shows up here at the end, and the animation here is pretty good, but as soon as Group Q gets introduced, the animation gets a huge upgrade with Geto flying out of the window and this cinematic shot of one of the members on the building. The fight doesn't actually happen, but it is teased for the next episode, and it's supposed to get us excited to be watching more. Overall, I think the introduction to this season was pretty good. We got to see some familiar faces pop up and get more character development on them. A couple of comedic moments here and there, and while sadly no fight scenes yet, this episode was built on showing its stellar and experimental animation, introducing the major plot point for this whole season, and obviously the main characters Gojo and Geto's dynamic and ongoing character development. The season is scheduled for 23 episodes with a recap, and we even have like a set schedule for all of these episodes, with the first 5 episodes being Gojo's past arc. Then we're gonna have a recap of the arc and the Zero movie. Then they're gonna start taking a break, and then the rest of the 18 episodes will be the Shibuya Incident arc. Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen will still be running through the fall season, so we'll be getting a ton of Jujutsu Kaisen content this year. But I want to know your guys' thoughts on Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. Did you guys like the first episode? Did you guys hate it? Are you excited to see more? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next episode.